Well done, no.
Well done, sir. Okay.
Antaji Labia.
Where's Ambassador Missouri?
It's coming.
Well done.
Well done.
Okay, yes.
Where's let the Sule?
No.
No, that's what the deputy.
Nina, are you still? You good?
Good afternoon. Well, let me say Happy New Year to everybody first. And as usual, we've come into the new year and we're very happy and we thank God for bringing us amongst the living in 2022. And so part of my visit, as I always do, is that when we get into the new year, is to also pay a visit to Mr. President to congratulate him for the new year and also to wish him long life and also to pray for progress in the country. So these were some of the things that I also went. And two, the fact that I am chairman of Northern Governors Forum. I must also come to tell him certain things we are preparing to do in the interest of the North, protection of the North, and also for the progress of the North. Those are the two things. And then the last one was also to tell him, give him a brief about what we're doing in our state in terms of progress and also to secure the good people of Plateau State. Well, in terms of security, some of the issues we raised with the president last year, we're already beginning to see progress. Especially, you recall that we mentioned that we are very eager to see the use of the Tucano helicopters so that we can have massive engagement with all the bandits. And part of it was also the status of some of these bandits around. And you can see that already the federal government has described them as a terrorist group. And so the military is now going to do full engagement. These were some of the issues that we raised in our communique in Kaduna. And so we're already beginning to see, and we're also getting prepared in the North for such actions. That's what we're expecting. So if we're going to carry action, let us do massive actions that will ensure that within the first quarter of this year, people will have hope that we're going to live with security and we're going to live peacefully in all the parts of the North, because we're expecting these actions before the next rainy season. You recall that we mentioned we're agrarian region, and we want our people to go back to farm. And in most cases, it is this insecurity that is keeping them away. So those are some of those things, and then addressing in collaboration with the security and also our vigilante, the issue of kidnapping, which is now getting very serious. So those are some of the issues that we are also meeting and we're preparing. And the last part of it is the engagement of traditional rulers. Of course, we had sent a bill to the National Assembly on the role of traditional rulers. And we're hoping that we'll pursue that on behalf of the Northern Governors to ensure that this bill gets through, so that traditional rulers will also complement the efforts of the government in addressing insecurity in their various states. Thank you for that question. Yes, I agree that all the time there are meetings, especially taking final decisions on the party. I'm always part of it. And part of it was also why I visited the president. And the president still stands committed that there must be an immediate convention. There must be convention. So it is that convention. You know, when convention is coming, there are fears here and there. Some people will tell you it will work, it will not work. But I'm happy, I don't want to draw the conclusion, but the visit, the president has already assured us, and you know there is already a notice that all the governors are meeting on Sunday. By Sunday, we will tell you when we are doing the convention. We are taking a date already. I think our first date before Christmas was we said we are going to do convention in February. And we're still working for convention, as far as I'm concerned, except things change from another angle. But as far as I'm concerned, we're working for our convention in February, in February. So these are things that the president was raising his fears, but we are already giving him assurances that nothing will stop us from having a very peaceful election. Some parties have done their own. The PDP did their own. Nothing will stop APC from doing their own. So all the fears that we are talking about, when the president also record it, it's also strengthening us. He's telling the governors, please do more and keep the party alive. So by God's grace, we are going to put our party alive. Well, I think the peculiarities, they are in peculiarities, because in some cases they will tell you it worked, in some it didn't work. But I think what you are emphasizing is now the emphasis on also technology. That was what we said, even at the Northern Governors Forum, that we must learn to also move from the normal, regular preparation to moving into technology. And we advise most of the northern states that if you can afford it, of course you can afford it, then go into also mixing it with technology. And part of technology is also in carrying along the vigilantes. The vigilantes, most of them know the intrigues, and then they also know all the corners in the bush. So some of them are even ex-service people. So what we do is that instead of keeping them idle, instead of always crying that the number of security we have is not enough, we must also use those ones that, unconventional ones that are available, and use them to handle the issue of kidnapping. For instance, in my state, it is kidnapping now. Kidnapping that's moving. And of course, it's as a result of the serious attack on bandits within the Northwest. And so when they are running, the best thing they do is that they come to camp, they are hungry, they are looking for money, they use kidnapping to purchase more ammunition. These are some of the security tips that we get. So security is not everything that you can come and say here, but the other aspect is what we are doing. But the only thing is to summarize, to put you, to tell you that we are also using some of these things as they are doing the conventional one. We are complementing it with our also efforts at the various states in the north. Well, these are things we are going to discuss, but I'm not drawing conclusion. But I always said, telling you that a political party is accumulation of interests. The interests may be the same, they may not be the same. But at the end of the day, what you do is that you are going to elect people who are going to represent you. People will come with different interests. And so when you are preparing like this, you have different interests. And those different interests will reflect, people will hear them in different ways. But I just want to assure you that in so many ways when we meet, we harmonize all interests and we come out as an APC, one APC. And that's what we're hoping, that whatever will be the interest that we're going to discuss, I have a very great hope that at the end of the day, our goal is to elect people who will take care of our party, because that will be the beginning of progress, of beginning of the process towards also electing those who will take over from this government, this present government. So you can't have primaries to elect people without having also your election at the party. So we're trying to put the party first in order. Well, court processes, there are procedures of holding court processes. Many of the court processes, of course, were there when we set up the caretaker committee. But up to this moment, if you go to take a census of some of the court processes, you realize that a lot of them have been resolved out of court. So it's still the duty of the party. It's still part of the function of the party to resolve. But we must not wait to resolve court processes, all court processes, before you go for convention. I don't think so. I don't think so, because there are also machineries for resolving court processes even after convention. After convention, I had a court process in my state. That did not stop me from going on. And at the end of the day, we resolved the court processes. And we are still going on, preparing and waiting for convention. Well, I'm not the chairman of the convention committee, but I want to assure you that we are calling a meeting. They've called a meeting for Sunday. And if there is a meeting of Sunday and we are thinking about next Friday, just wait and see what will happen before next Friday. So I don't want to draw a conclusion now. You are already talking of litigations. You draw conclusions, somebody will go and file a case tomorrow. So I don't want us to draw a conclusion of that, but I want to assure you that we are meeting. We already sampled the minds of many of the governors. So we're meeting and we're very hopeful that we're going to keep, and then with the admonition given by the president, it's a signal. It's a warning signal to all of us to sit up and ensure that we have a seamless, we have a very clean, fair, and transparent convention, so that our party will not get disintegrated. Well, I already mentioned that I have very high hope that at the end of the day, the president said it and he means his words. I can also see the determination in what he is doing. You know, before we said we are talking of technology, we are talking of this Tucano jet. Today we are talking of changes here and there, even recruitment in the army, in the police, and the DSS. Those were issues we also mentioned. Even part of it, that they even allow that you must also engage vigilantes. These are some of the measures that will make sure that at the end of the day, the president will not hand over a troubled country to his successor. Then the first question you mentioned about what are the issues. We had our last meeting in Kaduna, and we brought out long list of issues addressing the youth restiveness, talking about the Almajiri system, talking about the economy of the North, and talking about the challenges of insecurity in the North. And most of them, we had all under committees that were led by very eminent Nigerians. For instance, the Traditional Council that I mentioned were led by the former Supreme Court Justice, that's the Emir of Lafia. They gave out a report, and we're working on the report as how the traditional rulers can also help in addressing the issue of the insecurity. The youth aspect, when I say youth now, I include also women, so that when you don't say I talk about youth, what about the plight of women? The plight of women, the plight of the youth, as a result of the NSAS actions that we saw, we also put it. And that was also headed by the Emir of Zaria, the Zauzau, the Emir of Zauzau. So, and then you talk about the economy, which was also headed by the governor of Kebbi. All these reports came to us. And these are strictly interests of that region. You must get it right with the youth and the women. You must get it right with insecurity. And also, as you move about, what about the economy of that region? That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. And so those are some of the issues we mentioned. First, the president is also a northerner. He's the president of Nigeria for now. What is a northerner? Whatever we'll do will also affect him. And in carrying out some of these measures, some of them requires the intervention of federal government. And so when we are implementing them, we'll tell him the level of our implementation, and where we have hiccups, if we need also his support, we'll also go back to ask him to intervene in some of those areas.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.